Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is now 5:30, and I will call this regular meeting of the Burnsville City Council to order. And present with us this evening is Scout Troop 471 from Prince of Peace, and would like to invite them to come forward. We will begin our meeting with a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, and they will lead us in the pledge. So, Boy Scouts, would you come forward, please? And if you stand right here in this half moon. Okay, and then we're going to start with a moment of silence, and then the flag is to your right, gentlemen? Okay. And now we'll have a moment of silence and then the Pledge of Allegiance, and if you can lead us in it. We pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And we have announcements this evening for our regular meetings. Regular council meetings are scheduled for Tuesday, November 21st at 5:30 p.m. and Tuesday, December 5th at 5:30 p.m. We also have work sessions that are scheduled for Tuesday, November 14th at 5:30 p.m. and Tuesday, November 28th at 5:30 p.m. We're in the midst of budgets, and so our Truth and Taxation meetings are scheduled for the budget work session is Tuesday, November 14th at 5:30. Then we have another budget work session on Tuesday, November 28th at 5:30. And then we adopt the budget and the final levy on Tuesday, December 5th at 6:30 p.m. And we have one proclamation this evening. And the proclamation is for America Recycles Day. Whereas the city of Burnsville is committed to developing a sustainable community by enhancing economic opportunity and community well-being while protecting and restoring our natural environment. And whereas recycling and buying recycled products are a part of the strategy for a sustainable community because recycling protects our environment, is a wise use of our natural resources, and supports the economic well-being of our nation. And whereas participating in America Recycles Day 2017 is one way citizens can help raise awareness about the need to reduce waste by recycling and buying recycled products. Now, therefore, I, Elizabeth Couts, Mayor of the City of Burnsville, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim Wednesday, November 15th, 2017 to be America Recycles Day, and call upon all residents of the city of Burnsville to join in the celebration of this important date by doing your part by recycling your old shoes. All types of shoes will be accepted in any condition at the Burnsville Ice Center, Monday, November 13th through Sunday, November 19th. The shoes will be either reused or recycled into new products. Proclaimed this 6th day of November 2017. The next item on the agenda is citizens' comments. This is the opportunity for anyone in the audience who wishes to address the council on an item that is not on the printed agenda and not an application form that will be coming before us at a future date. Is there anyone who wishes to address the council? Anyone who wishes to address the council on an item that is not on the printed agenda? Seeing no one, we will move on. The next is for emergency items only, and this is additions to the final agenda. Ms. Johnston, are there any emergency items to come before the body this evening?
None from staff, Madam Mayor.
Members of the council? Okay, thank you. We then move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda is a group of items that's considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. However, an item on a consent agenda can be removed for a separate discussion and vote. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes an item on a consent agenda to be removed for a separate discussion and vote? Anyone who wishes an item on the consent agenda to be removed for a separate discussion and vote? Ms. Johnston?
None from staff, Madam Mayor.
Members of the council. Councilmember
I would
Gustafson,
like to remove item 4D.
4D. And members of the council, I would like to remove item C and item F. Both items are fine. I just want the public to know about the wonderful donations that we receive in C. And then F is just about our joint powers agreement with School District 191. I don't oppose any of those. It's just about making sure that everybody understands the great relationships that we have in this community. May I have a motion to adopt the balance, please?
So moved.
Councilmember Coughlin makes the motion, second by Councilmember Schultz. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, and the motion carries. Item C is a resolution to accept the donations and grants to the city. Members of the city of Burnsville, we have great partners in our community, and one of those great partners is the Lions Club. And under C, this is the resolution to accept donations and grants to the city. And if you haven't seen the donations that have been given to the city, the Lions Club has given to the city of Burnsville over 65,000 to the city of Burnsville. So we thank the Lions for their contribution and being such good partners to help us with different things, from the skate park to fire equipment to the splash pad and so forth. So to the Lions Club and the members, thank you so much. And to the Arbors Ridges and for their contribution to other fire equipment, and also to citizens who give so much of their resources also for our K-9 units and our police honor guard and so forth. And then the Burnsville Community Foundation also gave us $35,000 for the winter lighting. So please remember to come to the winter lighting ceremony on Thanksgiving Eve at Nicollet Commons Park. And the Burnsville Community Foundation raises the money to light up Burnsville. And so, members of the council, I just wanted to make sure that people know about the wonderful partnerships that we have, and that there are also other grants that are there from government entities. So if there's nothing else, I would like a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Thank you. Councilmember Keeley makes the motion, second by Councilmember Gustafson. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and the motion carries. Councilmember Gustafson, item D is to adopt the legislative agenda.
I want to discuss the item 3 in D, the residential care facilities. We recently just added a line: the city also supports requirements for the state to notify the community when a new residential care facility is licensed. And I'm trying to understand what we're trying to get at here. We have fair housing laws that we deal with when it comes to the protected classes, and both federal and state laws. And what are we going to do with this information once we get it from the state?
City Manager Heather Johnston.
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Gustafson, this line was inserted in response to a conversation that the council was having when we had several members of the public come up and have a conversation about it. I don't believe the suggestion was that information come to us. I believe the sense I had of the council that evening was that you wanted the neighbors of a residential care facility to be notified by the state that there was just the same kind of notification that we have gotten in the past, that just kind of says what the type of the facility is and who the regulating agency is. So that would not be information that would come to us. That was my understanding, but it's whatever the will of the council is on this particular item.
Councilmember Gustafson.
One of the reasons I bring this up is, I'm a licensed real estate agent. We deal with fair housing every day. As an agent, we're not even allowed to discuss whether there's group home in a neighborhood. That's off limits for us because it can be discriminatory. And I'm worried that by asking for this, we're asking the state to actually violate those federal laws.
Ms. Johnston.
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Gustafson, I'm not aware that it we do receive that as a government entity, and what we receive is only the public information, and so I don't understand, don't know that it would be, but we have an attorney here who can certainly respond to it.
Mr. Brokel?
That's exactly right. It's a matter of public policy, whether or not you want to include that.
It's just informing the public.
I get what you're saying, but if we're not even allowed to discuss it when we're selling a house, why would the state be going into a neighborhood and discussing it? I just don't get that.
Mr. Brokel?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm not sure why there would be differences. I'm not familiar with those regulations regarding the sale.
I'm pretty familiar with them. I take them every year, so.
Yeah. They certainly could be different based on,
And that's my biggest concern, is we're asking the state to violate not only federal law, but the state laws as well.
Councilmember Coughlin.
Well, we always can make it as part of our legislative proposal, subject to, that it's subject of federal and state laws, that as long as it's allowable. I mean, that's an easy fix.
Okay. Councilmember Schultz?
The question I have is, if that is included in our direction of what we would like the legislature to take action on, what would be the purpose, or what would be the purpose for that notification? It's not like residents, when notified, can either agree or disagree to a group home coming in. So if they're notified, what do we think that is allowing them or empowering them to do?
I don't believe that it empowers them. It's just a matter of communication. People, when they came and spoke, just wanted to know. And we thought, so they can have the right to know. But there's nothing that they can do about it. But if someone is coming into their neighborhood, it's just knowing what's happening. Listen, Councilmember Coughlin, your suggestion was to just
Subject to.
subject to state and
applicable
federal
state
law.
and federal law.
So leave it in and just add subject to state and federal law.
I would be for that.
I would agree.
Okay? So we're covering all of the bases. So is there any more discussion on this item? If not, a motion to adopt the legislative agenda is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Coughlin makes the motion, second by Councilmember Keely. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
No?
No.
And there are 2 noes, and the 2 noes on the legislative agenda has to do on item 3 on the supporting position statement. If you don't have that, you can go to the website, and then you can read about it. Okay, thank you. Then the other item that I asked to be pulled is F. And F is to approve the joint powers agreement with ISD 191 to support the Burnsville Youth Collaborative. And the reason I pulled this is because I just wanted to clarify. So, Ms. Johnston, when we look at these joint powers agreement, and we're dealing with one government entity, the school district, and we deal with the county, are all of our agreements 5-year agreements with the county as well?
Madam Mayor, we're sort of all over the map as far as joint powers goes. We have some that are 1 year, we have some that are 5 years, we have some that are perpetual. So for the purposes of this, since it does include the allocation of the CDBG funds, the Community Development Block Grant funds, we thought it would be appropriate to have a 5-year revisitation of it consistent with our 5-year budgeting process, so.
Okay. Because we've been working in partnership with the school district, also with the CDBG funds for the senior.
Yes.
But we don't have a joint powers agreement with the school district on that one.
Madam Mayor, that may be one that we have in the perpetual state, actually. I do
Yeah,
believe there is a
because-
joint powers, but it's not a 5-year.
Yeah. Perhaps we should take a look at that and see when we're just dealing with other government entities. And there's nobody else who would do that work for us. And it's a partnership. Maybe we should just take a look at it. I'm okay with the 5-year agreement. I just want to make sure that we have a discussion because if they're all over the place and if we wanted to be consistent with all of these things and we're dealing with other government entities, maybe there's something that we can talk about. If they're perpetual, then they're perpetual because there's no other government entity that we deal with. And so let's just take a look at it, especially when we're dealing with our youth and dealing with our seniors. Okay, may I have a motion to adopt the joint powers agreement as presented?
Motion to approve.
Councilmember Keely makes the motion.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Coughlin. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign, and the motion carries. Thank you. And that's the end of the consent agenda, and now we move on to the regular agenda. And the first item on the regular agenda is a public hearing. And this is a resolution approving the contract with Adamich Family Properties, LLC, for private development, sale of the property, and dispensing with statutory requirements for review by the Planning Commission of the sale of the property. And this is a public hearing. Presenting this evening is Mr. Skip Nienhuis, who is the Economic Development Coordinator. Mr. Nienhuis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. The land in question is noted in the upper picture on your slide, the red picture. That is currently our archery site. It abuts the current Dodge of Burnsville facility. Adamich Properties, Family Properties, actually owns the land that Dodge of Burnsville is on. The picture in the lower corner of your slide is the proposed site where the archery site would move when we sell this land to Adamich Family Properties. You have seen this a couple of different times, have reviewed it, and have given staff direction. Staff has met with the folks at Dodge of Burnsville multiple times over the last couple of years to come to an agreement on a purchase agreement. The purchase agreement basically stipulates that Adamich Family Properties will pay $370,000 for the land in question, which is the appraised price. The purchase price will be put towards the building of the new archery site up on the Zenith location. Adamich Family Properties will cover up to an additional $13,000 for that building of the new archery site. The $383,000 price is the estimate for the new archery site to be built. When Dodge goes in and puts in their car lot on the old archery site, we will continue to have access to the compost site. We will have easements for our wells. All of that will be covered in the purchase agreement. And the new archery site will be completed before Dodge begins the building of their car storage on the old archery site. We look at this as a win-win. One of our local businesses is expanding. We get a new archery site, a new, more modern archery site at absolutely no cost to the taxpayers. And the archery site is actually integrated into our park system much better and in a much better location. Madam Mayor, this is a public hearing, and I would stand for any questions of council.
Mr. Nienhuis, one of the things that you said is that the Adamich family would pay up to $13,000 more if there was additional cost. But if there was any cost above that, the citizens of Burnsville is going to bore that cost?
That would be correct, Madam Mayor.
You know, I remember when we had this discussion at the work session that it ought to be net neutral to the citizens of Burnsville, that they would not bore any of the additional cost.
Madam Mayor, at the work session, we presented a number of options. Council gave us direction to move forward with option
Yeah.
2, which was exactly as it is in this contract, that the purchase price would go towards the archery site, and
Yeah.
and Adams Family
Yeah.
Properties would spend another $13,000 if so needed. That is the estimate over that is the estimate for the new archery site. If the archery site exceeds the 383 currently in the contract that we have, the purchase agreement, is that would be our cost and that exceed. If council wishes to change that, we can certainly go back into negotiations with Adams Family Properties.
Well, then it better be at that 383.
I will pass on that to our Parks Department when they build the archery site.
And that the citizens of Burnsville do not board the cost. It is a win-win. We want to make sure that I support all of that, but at the same time, I want to make sure that the citizens of Burnsville also doesn't bore any additional cost than what has already been they're getting we're getting a new archery site. The business is going to get expansion, land for their expansion, but I just don't want to see any more cost to the citizens of Burnsville. So, Mr. Albrecht needs to be tighter. Thank you. Councilmember Keeley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do remember that conversation, and I was just speaking with Councilmember Coughlin. I think we all wrestled with those options and came to the conclusion that the city was going to benefit from a business expanding, and the users of the archery park were going to benefit from getting a basically brand spanking new, much better archery park, and that if there were any minor, and I think we all presumed it would be a minor overrun, that it might be worth it. But I believe that the estimates are solid. We've seen most estimates come in where actual construction costs were lower. And I'll just cite one large project that has a price tag of $20 million that we hit the budget on several years ago. So I'm confident that staff will make it fit. And if there's a minor, small amount of overrun, I don't think that is a significant issue based on all the benefits that we're getting. So I would be comfortable going ahead.
Well, I just want to make sure that everybody understands. Okay, any other questions? This is a public hearing. I now open the public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to address the council on this item? And the way this works, staff is here and the public will present at this podium. So is there anyone who wishes to speak to this item? Anyone who wishes to speak to this item? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. Members of the council, your pleasure.
Move to approve.
Second.
Councilmember Keeley makes the motion, second by Councilmember Coughlin. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign, and the motion carries. Congratulations. We are at item number 6. Item number 6 is also a public hearing, and this is the resolution providing municipal consent to MnDOT for the replacement of I-35W Bridge over the Minnesota River and raising of the highway profile. Presenting this evening is our city engineer and natural resource director, Mr. Ryan Peterson. Mr. Peterson, good evening.
Good evening. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me tonight. And I'll be introducing our speaker who was talking on a very exciting subject for the city of Burnsville. It appears that the funding for the replacement of 35W Bridge is in hand by MnDOT, and they are moving full speed ahead. The particular reason we're here is for municipal consent, and we get MnDOT seeks municipal consent when they try to, or when they're attempting to expand capacity on the highway system, amongst other things, and this will add another lane at least over the bridge. So I'm not going to get into the details too much because he's here to do that. So with that, I'd introduce Scott Peterson, engineer with MnDOT, and he serves as the project manager on this project. And with that, Scott, the stage is yours. Your PowerPoint's hooked up and just.
Good evening, Mr. Peterson. It's good to see you again.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council, for this opportunity to come present to you. I think we've been here at 2 work sessions previously, January of this year and October of 2015. It seems such a long time ago. We were doing a lot of hard work on this project. I want to start off with the project goals, talk about the things we want to accomplish for improved accessibility for 35W and the surrounding neighborhoods, improved safety and mobility on the corridor, 35W corridor, and upgrade the bridges and pavement on the corridor. So the scope of the project is to improve the ramp connections at Black Dog Road. Currently, there's an existing interchange there. We want to upgrade that interchange to provide longer acceleration, deceleration lanes so traffic can slow down on the southbound prior to the loops and decelerate and get out of traffic, decelerate, and then provide a safer move. And also for the entrance to northbound 35W from Black Dog Road, provide some room for that trucks and cars to accelerate prior to merging into the traffic. We want to extend the truck climbing lane that currently exists on 35W, that currently starts just north of the River Bridge on northbound 35W. We're proposing to extend that south and have that add with the entrance ramp from Cliff Avenue to northbound 35W. So today, we're seeing a lot of traffic. There's a lot of queue in traffic there with traffic coming from Cliff Road that wants to merge on to northbound 35W. If we add that capacity coming south, extend that capacity coming south and have that ramp add with the Cliff Road to northbound, we're gonna see a lot of improvements as far as mobility. Provide full width outside shoulders. I think we have full width outside shoulders on the northbound direction. In 2008, when we did the urban partnership agreement project, a lot of that width was taken on the southbound direction from 106th Street down to Truck Highway 13 to add that auxiliary lane. So we have narrow shoulders on southbound, so we'll widen the facility to provide widened outside right shoulders. One of the big issues we have is the profile grade on 35W between Cliff Road and Black Dog Road that currently in the springtime has a potential for flooding. It's below the 100-year floodplain elevation. We want to raise that profile grade up such that it minimizes that risk in the springtime of flooding, and we want to maintain that connection for the travelers. We're going to replace the bridge on 35W over the Minnesota River. The bridge is in good shape, but it's in need. We can't widen that bridge any further to provide those widened shoulders and to add that lane, auxiliary lane that we talked about. We can't widen the existing bridge. The previous projects in the past have widened that bridge to its capacity. The bridge requires additional maintenance as a result of the design of the bridge, which is above and beyond our normal maintenance cost for that bridge. So for that reason, we want to replace that bridge. And we actually have added some work to replace the bridge on 35W over 106th Street. And that would include the ramps to and from 106th Street on the south side of the interchange. And one of the big pluses for the project is improve accessibility for pedestrians and bicyclists. Well, as part of the project, we'll construct a trail facility that will connect Black Dog Road to the Glendale Avenue on the north side of the river. And we're looking at noise abatement where reasonable and feasible. And I think, how do we do to the layout?
The layout is,
Excuse me.
you want to do that, do you right there? You want to zoom in anywhere?
Yeah, I can. I thought I'd just a quick walk through the project, the layout. So we kind of put some pictures to the words a little bit, so. And a lot of people are seeing this for the first time in the audience here. You can see on the monitor, this is 35W of the south end. You can see Cliff Road on the far right side of the picture. We're showing construction would start on the north side of the Cliff Road Bridge. On the first portion is just a mill and overlay transition from the bridge to the full reconstruction would start on the north side of the ramp, the ramp from northbound 35W to Cliff Road, and the loop from Cliff Road to southbound 35W. So that primary reconstruction would start at that point. And you can see yellow represents the new pavement. We'll maintain that min-pass lane as we currently have in today on 35W. You see that we'll provide 4 lanes in each direction on 35W. We're going to propose and reconstruct that trail to minimize the floodplain impacts. One of the things we're doing is we're constructing retaining walls on the outside to minimize how much fill we put into the floodplain and the wetlands along adjacent. in order to do that, we have to reconstruct that trail that currently exists between Cliff Road and Black Dog Road.
Yeah, and I'm glad to see that 118th is shown.
Yeah, yeah, so
on
that's the green on the layout.
Yeah.
One of the efforts that, when we started developing this project was to show that, this project would not prohibit any future vision for
construction.
that. So we wanted
Yeah.
to show how that would fit, that
The
vision.
vision that
This
we
doesn't
have.
necessarily tie this, what we're showing here, but we just want to make sure that whatever we're doing would not preclude that in the future.
I really appreciate that because as we work on our comprehensive plan and we're looking at the Minnesota River Quadrant, now everybody knows that MnDOT and the city has worked collaboratively to make sure that the vision that we have and the infrastructure to service all of that is now in place. And it's not going to prohibit us in the future from doing what we need to do.
I'll move up here. You can, this area here, so that existing trail comes down to Black Dog Road on the east side of the interchange. That new trail facility we're gonna construct will be on the inside of the loop going up to the bridge. So as you can see, actually, you can see we're proposing on the existing loop, because the new loop's gonna be constructed a little bit further to the south. And it'll come up to the bridge, and it's gonna cross the bridge on the east side of the new bridge. One note about the bridge is, you can see the westerly portion of the existing bridge here. We're proposing to replace that one bridge with two bridges, so be a new northbound bridge that will be constructed adjacent to the existing bridge. So it'll be, if you envision, if you're there, you look to the east, there'll be a whole new bridge constructed on the east side of that. And then that's to help us with the staging and traffic control. Because we'll maintain traffic on the existing bridge, we'll construct that new bridge, and we'll take the traffic from the existing bridge, move it on to the new bridge while we remove and replace the existing bridge. Similar as we did with Lafayette.
Yeah.
If you drove
Yeah,
through there.
it's just moving traffic, so they're reducing the lanes, but there's still going to be movement on 35W.
Yeah, there will, we'll maintain traffic on 35W. You can see the green here, underneath the north side is a proposed future DNR trail
Yeah.
that's proposed to be constructed. We're showing it as future. We actually just met with the DNR, they do have funding in fiscal year 19, but our understanding is that their project's gonna be focused between the DNR boat launch here on the north side and Cedar Avenue to make that connection on the north side of the river. But we wanna make sure that we're not doing anything to preclude that trail in the future either.
Yeah, because I see their trail will go all the way to the east to the old Cedar Bridge.
That's right. I
Yeah.
think that
And then cross over.
Bridge C, I believe,
Yeah.
the old Cedar Avenue
Yeah.
Bridge is currently being worked on. And here, I got a little crazy with the mouse, so. So you can see the trail facility on the north side of the bridge. We're showing that coming adjacent, and then there's two forfeiture property lots that we're taking into our possession. They're current with Bloomington, and they're being transferred to MnDOT. One is so we could provide this trail connection to Lindale Avenue. There was a lot of discussion whether that trail facility should end at Lindale Avenue, that location, or does it want to come down to the boat launch for the recreational bikers? And if it came off the end of the bridge right in this area here, for ADA compliance, it would have required a helix or a switchback of some sort. The committee decided that we should bring it up to Lindale Avenue. I'll talk about, a little bit more about that in future slides here.
You know, Mr. Peterson, you should also let everybody know that there's been a lot of folks between
Yeah.
Burnsville, Savage, Scott County, Dakota County, and Bloomington, and all of the folks who have been working on this for the last 3 years.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, and then proposed ponding sites here as well. And then this layout currently just you can see 35W tying back into 35W. But like I mentioned, we're gonna add the bridge on 35W over 106th Street to our project. So that construction, that yellow, will extend to about 900 feet north of the 106th Street bridges and include the entrance ramp from 106th Street to southbound and the ramp from northbound 35W to 106th Street will be reconstructed as part of the project. Win-win experience. Current slide. So kind of the schedule we're working on with the project is, preliminary geometric layout was approved in August of 2016. We're here tonight requesting municipal consent from the city of Burnsville. And when we're done here, we're gonna go up to the city of Bloomington and ask for the same, give the whole same presentation. So I'm hoping practice makes perfect, so. Environmental documentation for the project will be complete in the spring of 2018. Will be delivered with a design-build procurement process. So what that means is we're gonna hire a contracting team. Will include a contractor and a consultant that will design the project as well. So as they're designing, they'll be able to release design packages so the contractor can start working sooner. So it's overlapping that process, and it allows us to provide some innovation to the project. Not necessarily save money, but provide things that make things more efficient. You might get better products out of the process. So that letting will be on May 9th of 2018. We anticipate construction, you start seeing construction as early as July or August of 2018. A lot of that work will probably be crossovers and things of that nature.
So people should know what to expect
Right,
next summer.
right. So that's when.
Take
most likely
alternate
you'll
routes.
Next summer, you'll probably see a lot more with respect to construction. And the construction's anticipated to last through the 2021 construction season. The project has been fully funded. I think the last time when we presented, we talked
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
MnDOT having funding for the bridge replacement, not necessarily identifying the funding
Yeah.
for that profile raise. The project has been fully funded. So the whole project, what we showed on there, we're gonna deliver the whole thing.
So we better move before somebody takes the
And
money.
it changes their mind, that's right. And we're not requesting any local participation from
Yeah.
the cities.
Yeah.
So we'll talk a little bit about the maintenance of traffic during construction. Currently, the corridor has 7 lanes of traffic. There's 4 lanes in the southbound direction. One's the auxiliary lane between 106th Street and Truck Highway 13, and 3 lanes in the northbound direction. Min-pass lane in each direction. There will be a time when we'll restrict traffic down to 5 lanes. So the thought process there is we provide 2 lanes each direction, northbound, southbound, and we'd have 1 lane for a min-pass lane. That could be reversible, so we'd provide transit priority, min-pass in the peak period, peak direction. So it'd be open northbound in the AM peak period and southbound in the northbound in the AM peak period, southbound in the PM peak period.
If I may, Madam Mayor, just a
Yes.
quick question on,
Yep, Councilmember Keely?
when you're closing off half the, lanes, I guess, or constricting lanes, how do you execute that bi-directional hot lane, given the traffic? And, I mean, is there a concrete barrier that sort of isolates that lane?
We're not gonna have enough room to physically provide what we would call a chute with the barrier on both sides.
Yeah.
We're thinking that we use that movable barrier. We use it up on
This
494.
Yeah.
There's a machine that will shift it up to 12 feet. It just drives up
Yeah.
and back and forth and shifts it one way, and then go back in the evening and move it back. And so, at least that's our thought process right there.
Thank you.
And it worked well up in 494.
It did. There's a YouTube video if you want to.
Yeah.
But, we realize that impact of that 5-lane impact is an important thing. So one thing we want to do is incentivize the contractor to minimize that duration that it is in the 5 lanes and get back to the 6 lanes. It won't be back to the 7 lanes, but at least if we get back to the 6 lanes, we'd have that transit advantage in the northbound and southbound directions during construction. The ramps, so the ramps at Cliff Road, Black Dog Road, and 106th Street will require the closure of that ramp from Cliff Road to northbound 35W and the ramp from southbound to Cliff Road but not at the same time. And one of the things, we'll restrict the duration of that closure. And we're thinking 90 days and incentivizing that as well as to minimize that duration of that those will be closed. There's a high business area. And the thought process is if you have one side closed, they can use the ramps on the other side and the interchange at 13 or north or south of there to detour. Similar with the ramps at Black Dog Road.
Mr. Peterson, Councilmember Keeley.
Well, we have an enormous amount of truck traffic in and out of that area using Cliff to access the landfill, the aggregate mining operation, various landscaping operations. I mean, it's 18-wheeler Main Street all day long there. So that traffic being diverted to 35 and Highway 13 is going to have a pretty dramatic impact in that area.
Yeah,
Not that I'm not saying it's there's not much choice, right?
Yeah.
But that's definitely going to be something for signage and
Yeah.
lane and et
And that's-
cetera
and
to
that's-
Mr.
really
Peterson.
make it safe.
yeah.
Exactly.
Mr. Peterson.
We need to make sure that we coordinate that construction. I think that's one of our goals of this project is to develop a communications plan that talks to the businesses, talks to the residences. The emergency service is a concern, the school districts, if there's school buses and things of that nature, we gotta make sure that we're doing that outreach and talking to all those, the transit providers, Minnesota Valley Transit, Metro Transit as well. Make sure that everyone's aware when things are gonna be closed, how long they're gonna be closed, what's the detour, how do they get there, and things of that nature. There's a lot of, the Walmart, the Dodge dealer,
Yeah.
right there.
Sure.
And, you know, we did very well when we did 13 and 5. And the communication out to 13 and 5 was coordinated not only through us, but through MnDOT, through the Chamber of Commerce. And there was a lot of benefit that we also made sure that our businesses understood what was going on an ongoing basis. And there's going to be detours. And
A lot of big trucks.
yeah, and they'll have to go to 69 and 77 to cross over. Those are things that happen. I mean, when we had County Road 42 this last summer,
Yeah.
but when it's all done, it looks really good,
Yeah.
just like 13 and 5.
I always say, I wish we could just plink like a slot machine, you put the money in and pull the lever and it's just done, you know, like.
Yeah.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
follow-up, we have
Yeah.
a citizen wrote me
Councilmember.
with a couple questions, and one of them deals specific with Cliff, and this might actually be a question for Mr. Albrecht as well. What will the configuration and location of the Cliff Road access interchange be relative to the current interchange, anticipating maybe a shift or a change? And will there be any new stoplights involved in that? Doesn't look like on your plan from a MnDOT standpoint.
No.
Is there anything that's going to change, Mr. Albrecht?
Mr.
Related
Albrecht?
to the interchange when it's all
Yeah.
done?
Mr. Albrecht?
There's nothing planned with this project. We do have a future project
Mm-hmm.
with Cliff Road West that we're looking at, but that's something, the earliest that would be delivered, in theory, would be 21, 22, depending on the regional solicitation, unless we were to get some freight money or some money ahead of that, which we don't necessarily expect, so.
Okay.
And we did, the study was already
Yes.
done, and we received money for that study, and it was before us. So, but it's not in conjunction with this, but,
Madam Mayor,
yes,
Council-
Mr. Peterson.
we're just gonna tie into the existing ramps, we're widening the road a little bit, so those alignments for those ramps gotta tie into the new roadway, so we have to just, at the ends of the ramps, just tie the existing ramps into the new mainline construction.
And Mr. Albrecht, might be an assumption, but maybe better stated. That plan in 21, 22, or whenever that comes around, which seems like a long way off, but after this bridge is done, it'll be next up, right? Is this plan then sort of tying into the anticipated plans that we have for that straightening of Cliff and adjusting across the tracks and where it intersects with 35?
Yes, our plan's
Yeah.
fully adaptable
Yeah.
to what's being proposed here.
Okay, thank you. That was another note on the question there. I want to make sure it's clear. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Peterson? Okay, please proceed, Mr. Peterson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to talk a little briefly about the project aesthetics that we went through. There was a process, like, as the mayor mentioned, that included membership from both the cities of Burnsville and the city of Bloomington, Dakota County, Hennepin County, that we went through to identify what the project aesthetics would look like on the corridor. We look at things such as a trail location. We reviewed alternatives, was that on the left side or on the east side of the corridor, or the west side of the corridor? How does it tie down and things of that nature? And maybe I'll just quick walk through it. So talking about, this is just blow up the layout, kind of showing what that trail facility, we look at alternatives that brought it up on the east side, up to the bridge, but also look at what would happen if we had the trail facility on the west side of the corridor. And then that would have followed the loop down to Black Dog Road. And then the trail facility would have to connect underneath the bridge. Then on the north side, we mentioned, we look at helixes and switchbacks at this location. This little thing there is there's a realization, there's a existing mountain bike facility underneath the bridge now along the riverbank corridor. It's not an official trail. It's a trail that's just been created by the people utilizing the riverbank.
And this is on the Bloomington side.
This is on the Bloomington side, yes, ma'am. And so the debate is what do we do? So the one thought is if we provide this connection here, we can make sure it's ADA compliant, it's gonna serve those commuter bicyclists. But if you don't provide a facility here for the mountain bikers, they're most likely gonna develop their own facility. And if we design something that's maintainable, it doesn't erode the existing slopes and things of that nature. So that's the hope with that. Wing walls and the riprap, we talked about what the treatments would be underneath the